Good afternoon. My name is Bob Mendenhall, and I am the South Central Regional Sales Manager for Inovonics. The South Central region consists of Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Louisiana, and Arkansas. Today I'd like to take a few minutes and show you how the Inovonics EchoStream 900 megahertz solution can be incorporated into access control and video management solutions. To kind of recap a little bit about EchoStream and what it is, it's a life safety grade RF wireless technology from Inovonics. It's 900 megahertz, performs very well in long range situations, and it's a good choice for commercial and industrial sites. We'll talk a little bit about frequency hopping spread spectrum for RF interference avoidance. We'll also talk about the small data payload and how that increases receiver sensitivity, low current draw for long battery life. Very important point, this particular solution is built for a purpose. It doesn't necessarily have to be IT managed. We'll talk about our repeaters and how you can determine how many repeaters you're going to need for a specific application. I'll take you through the selection of transmitters, and then we'll talk about integration with any platform, how the solution is hardware agnostic. So this is a good representation of what a 900 megahertz RF signal looks like. The 900 megahertz wavelength is about the size of a baseball, whereas the 300 megahertz wavelength is about the size of a basketball. And 300 megahertz does a great job in residential construction. Good choice for that. But the 900 megahertz, and if you look at that illustration there, you can see that that smaller wavelength gives us a better opportunity to penetrate commercial construction metal, getting through studs, walls, floors, and things of that nature. So some of the advantages of wireless in commercial situations, panic and duress alarms, wireless, quickly deployed. It's very effective for risk mitigation. There's some examples there of where we see them typically: behavioral health, hospitals, education, financial, and human resources. We'll talk a little bit about how we can make 900 megahertz work hand in hand with video, especially with video motion detection in challenging situations. And then we'll talk a little bit about access control and some typical installations that we see there: uncontrolled openings, door status, and then we'll talk about remote door release and securing the door remotely. These are our three universal receivers: the EN4204R, the EN4216MR, and the EN4232MR. They all have Form C relay outputs that can connect to any platform. So we're taking the relay output out of this particular receiver, and we're taking it to an available input on the control hardware. The EN4204 has 4 relay outputs, the 4216 has 5, and the 4232 has 11. This is a real typical access control scenario that we see. A lot of times it's not very cost effective for the customer to take copper to the doors to accomplish the door status. So what you see there is an EN1210 universal transmitter, and it just has a door contact wired up to it. This particular transmitter can be wired up to just about any kind of a 2-wire device. And then this is kind of what I referred to earlier. We're coming out of that receiver, that image on top is the receiver, and we're coming out of the relay outputs there and then going directly to the available inputs on the access control hardware. So it allows us to monitor and log the activity just like we would if we had a hardwired door. That includes prop doors, forced doors, and things of that nature. It really completes the picture for the security director in a much more cost-effective manner. This is the EN5040T wireless repeater. The repeater does not need any home run wiring. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take it out of the box and we're going to plug it in. That dash T, that's for a step-down transformer that ships with the repeater. So, and we can have multiple repeaters used in any application, and then we'll support up to 10 repeater hops. So we've got power loss detection on board, and we've also got a 24-hour backup battery. It's fully supervised. This is how we determine how many repeaters that we're going to need in a specific application. What you're seeing here is the EN7017 RF wireless range testing kit. So it's a survey kit. So you can see in the image below, you'll see that small transmitter. We're going to turn that transmitter on. We're going to hang it on the wall, and it's going to emulate the receiver. Then we're going to take that white receiver that you see right there, and that'll be on our person when we start to do our site survey, our wireless survey. And then we're going to load an app on our phone, and you can see that that particular app gives us a meter, and that meter has the current strength of the communications between the receiver on our person and then the transmitter hanging on the wall that's emulating the receiver. So once we've established that communication, we're going to start walking to our first end device, and we're going to keep an eye on those gauges. Well, as soon as those gauges drop down into the red, we're going to backtrack a little bit until they're back on into the green, and then that's where our first repeater is going to go. And then we'll move to our next end device and just repeat the process. This particular survey kit can be purchased through your preferred distribution partner. Sometimes those distribution partners will have these kits that you can borrow, but I highly recommend that you buy one of these kits. It eliminates a lot of guesswork, and it's going to be a great tool for your tool belt going forward. These are our supported access control integrations. You're going to see a lot of receiver part numbers here, and we'll drill down into those, but Maxis uses our EN4200 serial receiver, or you can also use the EN4000 universal receiver. RS2 Technologies uses our EN6080 area control gateway. That's Mercury inputs only. Open Options is also using the EN6080 area control gateway. And then ICT Protege, and that's GX and WX. They're using our EN4200 serial receiver. You see the EN6080 there in parentheses because when we first developed the integration with them, that's what they were using. So if you happen to run across one of those, give me a call. We still support the EN6080, but I'll put you in touch with the right ICT representative, and you can have that discussion with them. We also have an integration to the Genetec Security Center. That's the EN4080, and that IDs all transmitters, and Genetec also has a BACnet plug-in. So this is the EN4000 universal serial receiver. And basically what it's doing is it's taking the EchoStream 900 megahertz one-way transmitters and taking it to a head-end application that uses an RS-232 serial interface. This is the EN4200 security-only serial receiver. This particular receiver is a wireless gateway between the EchoStream 900 megahertz end devices and one-way security transmitters, and then a head-in application using an RS-232 serial interface. This is that EN6080 area control gateway that I referred to earlier. So basically what it does is the gateway takes the proprietary Inovonics commercial mesh network to a standard TCP/IP over Ethernet LAN, adding the security capabilities to IP-enable software applications. The EN6080 gateway is designed to allow software developers to easily integrate it into their applications. There is an API available. And then once the 6080 area control gateway is connected to the system, it can be interfaced seamlessly with other applications and access control, intrusion detection, duress, things of that nature. So these are the transmitters. The 900 megahertz transmitters have a range of 25,000 square feet. That's the EN1210. You saw that one earlier, wired up to a door contact. It's a single input universal transmitter. And then there's also the EN1210W, which is a door window transmitter, ships with a reed switch, and it can be dual zone. And then you'll see several part numbers there with EOL, end of line resistor. If you find yourself in a situation where you need to have a UL certified installation, we can help you accomplish that. A couple of more universal transmitters. That's the EN1212, which is a dual input universal transmitter. We see that typically being used in situations where you've got a set of double doors. We can wire those both of those doors independently, and they can report independently. And then the EN1252, which is a high-powered dual input universal transmitter. So if you've got a situation where you have a door that's rather remote, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to put another 5040T repeater in, that EN1252 will give you the additional range to communicate with that closest repeater. These are our panic alarm pendants. They can be worn around the neck. There's wrist straps. Some of them have belt clips, or they can be fixed. You'll see in the part numbers there, you'll see part numbers ending with D or ending with S. The D represents a dual button, and the S represents a single button. I always recommend that you have a conversation with your customer about dual versus single. The dual button really helps mitigate a lot of accidental activations. So if it's appropriate, I think that's probably the best one to deploy in situations where it's appropriate. Let's switch gears and talk a little bit about video surveillance. As we know, video motion detection, which is actually changes in pixels, can be real problematic. At night when a camera's automatic gain control turns on, that noise can be interpreted as motion. And then of course there's always those outdoor scenes with foliage and streets with traffic, things of that nature. So it really makes a lot of sense to use an external wireless motion detector with a receiver tripping the camera's alarm input, and it makes that video motion detection much more valuable in challenging settings. So here's our lineup of the motion detectors. The EN1260, which is a wall mount, has a 100-foot curtain lens option. The EN1262, it has pet immunity with smaller pets, 30 pounds and below. And then the EN1265, which is a 360-degree ceiling mount motion detector, which has a high ceiling lens option that'll allow you to get it up there to 25 feet. This is one of our manufacturing partners, Optex, and Optex has a series of detectors called the I series. I being Inovonics. That means that that particular detector has an Inovonics EN1941 transmitter on board. So in this particular representation, we're looking at some outdoor PIRs. There's three flavors of that, the SIP 404 Wi-Fi, the 4010 Wi-Fi, and the 3020 Wi-Fi. And then you can see some graphic representations of the coverage that you'll get from those various models. The picture down in the bottom left is of these outdoor volumetric PIRs being used with a PTZ. So basically, what we're doing with that PTZ is we're controlling the zoom and the pan, tilt, and the zoom based on activation from motion. And then once we bring that into the VMS, we can do whatever we want to do with it. We can bring it up full frame rate, full resolution, and we can throw it up on a spot monitor, things of that nature. Optex also has a what they call the Optex BiXOP. So you can see there in the middle, that's our Inovonics EN6080 area control gateway. And so BiXOP is a software module that bridges Inovonics into the Milestone XProtect software. Very, very versatile for things like alarm management. Here's some of the features for the Optex BTX. Won't read them all to you, but having the ability to alert multiple recipients and enhance the XProtect alarm management. We can create schedules by alarm zone. We can create custom event rules by alarm zone, and we can overlay graphics as well. So in summary, the 900 megahertz really lends itself well to long range and reliability. Inovonics has a reputation for reliability. Labor savings, which is a pretty obvious one. The time and cost associated with taking copper to an end device can be pretty cost prohibitive for an end user. So if we can eliminate that cabling and that conduit and or cable tray, that's a real benefit to the customer. And then improving the estimating accuracy is a big one. In my years as an integrator, that was probably the biggest risk that we always had associated with estimating any project. A lot of times you were either working off of a drawing, or sometimes you did a site survey, and when you did that site survey, potential obstacles weren't real obvious to you, and then you don't find out about them until your operations team gets on the site to actually perform the installation. Preserving site aesthetics is important. We can eliminate a lot of expensive trenching and overhead work and outdoor wiring. And then we go right back to being control hardware agnostic. This 900 megahertz solution can be incorporated into any hardware platform. So I'd like to thank you for taking some time out of your day. I know your time is valuable. Really appreciate you taking a few minutes to sit down and watch this Lunch and Learn. My contact information is right there. Feel free to contact me anytime. Always here to help you with your questions. And then if you have an opportunity and you'd like for me to assist you with the design of that opportunity, I'm happy to do so. Thank you and be well.